The suspect, we are told, got out of his car, jumped off of the bridge and into the Rio Grande River, and then swam into Mexico. I don't know how far of a drop that is. Clearly a very good drop. This man did not want to be caught, swam into Mexico. We understand Mexican authorities did also come very close to the border of the bridge as well and have been involved in the search for this suspect on the Mexican side of the border. This again still a developing story. We are trying to piece together some of the basic facts on this in terms of exactly what precipitated this chase. Let me show you something. This has been part of the problem out here, this sandy terrain. We're going to go now to the video that we shot earlier in the day. You're going to see the smoke in the distance billowing up into the sky. This is the Eagle River substation where they have a public counter, and what we're going to do is walk around to the public counter and see what happens when someone in Eagle River wants to come here in person and maybe report a crime. Well, we can see that the door is locked and you have to press this buzzer to maybe get some service. I don't know how long it will take. We did see a patrol car coming in and out. It's been a pretty good day. We've got a pretty good start going here, but we really have a long ways to go. This is a big, big truck. You can hear my voice echoing all the way to the back here. We need to fill this thing up by the end of this week. Let me show you some of the stuff that folks have been bringing by so far today. Nothing really special, just the everyday items, notepads, glue sticks, pens, and number 2 pencils. Just the basic necessities, won't cost a lot of money, cheap little items all these kids need to help get their lives back on track. But even after this property gets cleaned up or even torn down, the scars of the crime that was committed here will remain. More than 2 years after an arson fire killed 2 people inside this home, the case remains unsolved and investigators say it's going nowhere. This is what you see at the front gate of a 200-acre ranch north of Rio Grande City. The U.S. Attorney's Office says the property is owned by this man, Carlos Alberto Oliva Castillo. Mexican federal authorities have named him the number 3 man in the Zetas drug cartel. He is accused in the August casino massacre in Monterrey. 52 people died at the Casino Royale. The U.S. Attorney's Office claims Oliva used this property to facilitate drug activities. They say he is responsible for organizing networks of individuals who drive vehicles loaded with cocaine. Federal documents only list a legal description of the property, so we came here to the Starr County Appraisal District Office for answers. U.S. authorities named the owner of the property as Carlos Ricardo Tamez Tirado. He's a doctor from the Mexican town of Diaz Ordaz. The government says Tirado was a straw purchaser, a frontman for Oliva. Starr County Chief Appraiser Humberto Sainz Jr. says the property has changed ownership several times since 2003 before Tirado bought it in 2007.
Miguel de los Santos, his wife, and Jose Eloy Pulido, his wife, there's a warranty deed with Vendors Lane where they sold to Carlos Ricardo Tamez Tirado.
The federal government claims the actual price for the property was $400,000, not the listed price of $125,000. The Starr County Appraiser's Office pulled the property up for us on a map, then showed us images on a computer. Yeah, let's go ahead and zoom in and see the properties there, the buildings. There's a pretty good sized building there, several outbuildings. And then you mentioned there was an antenna. Let's take a look at that. That's a pretty good sized communication tower. From the road, the communications tower is clearly visible. We can hear some voices in the distance, but one of the first things you notice about being out here is it's totally quiet. You'd never know anything out of the ordinary was going on out here, but prosecutors say it was behind these gates that Oliva would receive the money from his drug transactions. The U.S. Attorney's Office says Oliva paid for the ranch entirely with drug proceeds. A pre-dawn briefing.
He also has a history of evading and resisting.
U.S. Marshals.
It's a small little neighborhood.
On the hunt for suspects.
As long as we got Rick covered, guys, we're good to go.
This task force has 2 recent murder arrests under its belt. They recently brought in Leonardo Alonso Blanco on a warrant relating to a 1993 murder. in Mission. Also, Adolfo Rocio, convicted in the shooting death of Martin Arturo Garza in 1992. First stop today, Palmview, a suspect not home.
We involve everybody, every local agency, every federal agency.
Next stop, San Juan, a suspect with gang ties and a history of assault.
We never know what to expect on the inside.
Another miss.
Guy wasn't there, it's bogus address, false address, and now we just go and do our legwork now.
Now, Mercedes, the search for a cocaine suspect, a third strike.
In the long run, we're going to end up getting these guys.
The task force is patient. Some more investigation. They'll be back out again tomorrow. In Hidalgo County, Kirk Chase on Channel 5 News at 6. Port Mansfield, scenic, natural, fisherman's paradise, wide open. Miles of seemingly unprotected waters and shoreline. Beneath the beauty, for some in law enforcement, a growing anxiety exists that the battle for the border is creeping toward this town.
It seems like the focus is shifting back to this side for right now.
First in the dusty brushlands that surround the port.
A local rancher out east that come across some people backpacking through his property and basically kind of stood up to him. What are you doing here? This is my property. You need to leave. And like, what are you going to do if I don't?
Willacy County Sheriff Larry Spence's concerns reach past the ranch lands, past the shoreline, here to the Intracoastal Waterway.
What's not going up the highway is going up the waterway.
The deputies patrol in the one boat the department owns.
This is a main roadway. The Intercoastal Canal comes all the way from Brownsville and South Padre Island, all the way through and cuts through the state of Texas, all the way up to Louisiana.
Sergeant J.M. Gonzalez and Deputy Jesse Castañeda have covered this area for 8 months. They know they could come across drug or human smugglers.
There are some that become very agitated or very scared as you approach them, and those are the ones that you want to key in on, and by their actions you know that something might be up.
People in this tiny town are a little bit nervous when it comes to talking about drugs and contraband, but the owner of one business tells me it's very clear. People are definitely using this waterway as an avenue, as a highway to move drugs from Mexico north. The question is just who is doing it and when. Most people here seem to feel they're separated from the criminal activity that has invaded much of the valley. Some tell me undercover ICE agents routinely visit, watching for anything unusual. Jan Jones owns a local pub. She says the waters off the town's shores are vulnerable.
You've got from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. before anybody around here, is really out and about.
Back on the water, the deputies patrol at various times of the day, making it harder for potential smugglers to avoid them.
We of course have those who come out here to conduct other business and do other things that they're not supposed to.
It's risky duty. Backup is harder to call in than on the streets of a city or town.
We were interviewing some people and they became very belligerent, knowing that it's a long distance to take them back into jail, and that we're out here by ourselves, and it becomes a one-to-one situation.
A one-to-one situation. The deputies prepared.
We went and acquired some extra heavy-duty weapons, more heavy-duty artillery type to speak.
The waters off Port Mansfield may seem open, but
not unprotected because we're out here.
Out here, vigilant, in this corner of the battle for the border. In Port Mansfield, Kirk Chase on Channel 5 News at 10:30.